For the second time in a week, a community is in mourning after a person was killed by federal immigration authorities. A man in Biddeford, Maine, was shot and killed in his car by an ICE agent. This happened yesterday morning. Federal officials say the man tried to flee in his vehicle, but Maine lawmakers now say he was not the person the agents were originally trying to find. CBS News national correspondent Lilia Luciano has the latest from Maine.
CBS News has confirmed that the person who was killed by ICE officers yesterday here in Biddeford, Maine, was Juan Sebastian Guerrero, a Colombian immigrant. Some advocates who are working with his family tell CBS News that he was 26 years old. Some witnesses and people who knew him told us that he was working as a delivery driver. He's also the father of a 3-year-old daughter who appears often in his social media. Shows of love and praise for his daughter fill his social media accounts. We have been trying to reach out to his family, but are respecting the silence that they have asked for in these moments. Here's what we know from DHS, who issued a statement almost 12 hours after the shooting yesterday. They claim in the statement, they're saying that ICE was conducted targeted surveillance on the last known address of a, quote, illegal alien with a final order of removal. Then they say an illegal alien departed the residence in a vehicle. ICE law enforcement attempted to conduct a vehicle stop. The vehicle attempted to flee the scene, and fearing for public safety, an officer discharged his weapon. Yesterday, Senator Angus King said that the person who had been targeted clarified that the person who was being targeted for an arrest was not Guerrero, was not the victim in this shooting. And this is the second time that we hear of a similar case. It happened in Houston last week, and less than a week later, it happened here in Biddeford, Maine, again, where the officers from ICE were not wearing body cameras, and where the person who was being targeted for an arrest was not the person who was ultimately shot and killed. There are growing protests in this community throughout the day yesterday, today, and officials are demanding answers, including Maine's governor, who called the way that ICE is operating or carrying out these operations reckless and haphazard. Back to you.
Lilia Luciano, thank you for that report. And joining me now is Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives, Ryan Fecteau. Ryan, thank you so much for your time today. I think it's safe to say that this shooting has shaken your community, but what are the biggest questions you believe still need to be answered after what happened?
Well, I think there's an inconsistency in just what we heard in that report. And on the one hand, we were told that the driver was putting an officer, law enforcement, at risk, and now we have this statement from DHS that says, well, there was a risk to public safety, and there's an inconsistency right off the bat. Is it the case that someone's life was at risk in law enforcement, or is it the case that the general public's safety was at risk? I think that's an important detail that needs to be determined. Overall, our community is reeling from this. We're a community that has a long history of welcoming immigrants. We will continue to welcome immigrants to our community. My grandparents, and my dad moved from Quebec in 1964 to work in our textile mills at the heart of our city. We are an immigrant community.
We know the FBI, the state attorney general, and DHS, they're all now investigating the shooting. Lawmakers have said the man who was killed was not the person ICE was looking for in the first place. So what does a thorough and transparent investigation look like to you?
Well, a full and transparent investigation would include continued cooperation between federal officials and our state officials who have been on the scene, gathering details as well. I think that's incredibly important that our state officials have the ability to gather the details necessary to make sure that justice is served here, and that we have a full picture of why this occurred and why lethal force was used against someone who wasn't even the target of this ICE operation. I think that is the most despicable part of this whole thing, is that Mr. Guerrero, his life was taken, a father was taken, a husband was taken, who wasn't even the target of this operation.
Yeah, and Ryan, what are your constituents telling you? What would they like to see happen in this case?
Well, I think what they want first and foremost is to ensure that there's a proper and full investigation. That's what I've been hearing from my constituents. But most importantly, what they want is for ICE to get out of the state of Maine. We want ICE out of our state. We want local and state law enforcement to do their jobs, which they do well. They know our communities, they know our streets, they know the people who live here. We want local and state law enforcement to continue to do the job that they do really well. And we want ICE in their unprofessional behavior, their poor training and all that comes with it, and these rash decisions that they're making in these moments where they are using lethal force. We want them out of our state.
And can you tell us more about the city and this area? I mean, you say that you all welcome immigrants. Is something like this, the shooting itself, is that unusual there? And even to have ICE agents in the area, is that unusual? Was that shocking to you?
Yeah, I mean we're a large city in terms of Maine's context, but we're a small town in almost any other context in this country, right? And this is not this is just a very unusual occurrence for there to be any sort of violence of this magnitude is just totally out of the norm for our community. And like I said, this is a community that has long welcomed immigrants. We were founded by immigrants, and we're going to continue to welcome folks from across the world to our state because this is exactly who we are. We've always been welcoming, and we should continue to do so. I think it's important to also take a moment to recognize that we also have a long history of telling people who are trying to oppress others to get gone. In 1924, the KKK tried to cross the bridge into my city, and people met them on the bridge and told them to take a hike. And we're saying that now to ICE. We're telling them to get out of our city, get out of our state. We want to be able to do what we do best, which is to take care of one another, look out for our neighbors, and I guess in the words of Fred Rogers, tell people, won't you be our neighbor?
Representative Ryan Fecteau, again, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.